everybody. My name is Shelby Sander Hamilton. My kids know me as Miss Ham. I teach at Adams Middle School in North Platte. Go Bulldogs. Okay. We are all quarantined right now, and it is a crazy time in our lives, that's for sure. I'm going to be teaching a lesson to you guys today. It's going to be an essay. I'm going to use my phone as a little bit of a guider so I don't forget important notes. So my learning target for this lesson is using spatial text structure. We're going to utilize the writing process to create an essay on a particular space. So I thought this would be kind of fun since we're quarantined. We can write about our quarantine space, or we can think about a place that we're going to go, or we would like to be, or where we would like to go. Okay, so welcome to my friend's basement. Okay, so she's remodeling and we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. So we're gonna paint this basement. So I'm gonna use this little space as my chalkboard. So it might be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. For standards, you guys, I'm just gonna kind of reach out to the writing process standards. I think it's a good way to go with this. Writing and reading is going to be a huge thing that you can do during the quarantine. Like, I've read a lot of online things about things to do during the quarantine, and a lot of them are read a book or write a paper or something. So we're going to do two different papers. So the first one is going to be spatial essay, and the second one is going to be chronological, which I'll get to after a while here. So for our lesson focus for discussion here, text structure, okay? So when I talk about text structure, what I mean is that text structure is the way the text is structured. So what that means is that the way the text is organized, so how it's laid out. A lot of us are probably familiar with chronological order, because you're like, okay, in 1993 she was born, in 1994 blah blah blah, in 2000 she went to kindergarten, and blah blah blah. So chronological order is like a timeline. Or a lot of us are familiar with sequential order too, like step one, you do this, step two, you do this, kind of like a recipe. So we're going to be working with spatial structure, which when I think about spatial, I think about descriptive, which I'm going to talk a lot more about later. So this essay that we're doing particularly is going to be a spatial essay. So yeah, it's going to be descriptive, okay? So when I talk about spatial is kind of a weird word, like you don't hear that very often, okay? So spatial means occupying a space, okay? So we're going to be writing about a space that we're occupying during this quarantine. Also, again, my focus kind of is like, what are the steps of the writing process? This is where I'd be at if I were in my classroom talking about the writing process. So we're going to talk about the steps of the writing process, and we're going to go in depth with them. So bear with me, but there are, and some people see it differently, but I always go with the 5 main steps. So pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and then you're going to publish it. So like I said, I'm going to kind of go over those here in a minute. So fun fact is, this is not a whiteboard. I'm going to be using paint because we're painting this room. So I'm going to go ahead and write the steps of the writing process down using paint. And I'm probably just going to go ahead and initial. So again, step 1 is going to be your pre-writing. Okay, so you're going to pre-write. So when you pre-write, most teachers have a graphic organizer. I always utilize graphic organizers. Okay, so I have one here. However, it's going to be a little bit backwards because I'm in my selfie mode right now. So bear with me. So step 1, writing process, or the writing process is pre-writing. Okay, I'll turn the camera around here after a bit and then let you see it. So 1 equals P. Actually, I'm going to put an R with that because our last step is also P. So we got pre-writing. Okay, so for pre-writing, you just, like I said, have that graphic organizer. You're gathering your ideas, putting your thoughts onto paper, basically. It's not writing, you're just listing things, gathering details, blah, blah, blah. Step 2 is your drafting. I'm very particular about drafting, so we're going to talk a lot about that. Okay, so step 2 is drafting. So D, if you can't tell, that's a D backwards. Okay, step 3 Everybody gets step 3 and step 4 mixed up sometimes, but you really want to revise first. So step 3 is revision. Okay, so go ahead and write down your R. You're going to revise before you do the next step. Step 4, excuse me. Step 4 is you're going to edit. Okay, so 4 is edit. And then step 5, while we're here, is again, it's another P, but we're just going to write P for publish. Okay, so what publish means, you guys, is that you're gonna make it a masterpiece. Okay, you're gonna turn it in, basically. Okay, so my beautiful drawing. So step 1 is PR for pre-writing. I would just write this whole thing down if you're taking notes. Step 2 is drafting, and then you're gonna revise, you're gonna edit, and then you're gonna do a publish. Okay, so just depending on how your teacher wants that and how that's gonna look. All right. So, excuse me. So we're gonna get in depth with this. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of tell you guys what my writing prompt is. So again, we're gonna utilize what we are living right now. So our quarantine. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be writing a spatial essay. Since we have all been quarantined in our homes, we are going to have some fun with this and write an essay about the place in which we have been quarantined. Okay, so if I'm writing about the place where I've been quarantined, I've been staying with my friend. Okay, so we were together when this quarantine happened. We were like, let's just stay together so we're not bored, blah, 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 blah. So her name's Alicia, so she's upstairs. This is her house. We're doing some fun things. We're going to be painting this room tomorrow, actually. So anyways, so I've been staying here. So if I wanted to write about where I've been quarantined, I would probably go for her basement, okay, because that's where I've been staying, just because that's kind of out of her way and that's where my stuff is, etc., etc., okay? So I would be talking about her basement, so what I'm going to do is write like Alicia's basement, blah, 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 blah. If you are like sick of the place you're staying and don't want to write about where you're being quarantined and really missing school, you can totally write about a classroom that you miss dearly, or like, you know, a classroom that you loved and wish you could go back to. Or if you don't want to write about that or anything, like another option would be write about a place you want to visit. Okay, there are a lot of options for this. So you could write about somewhere that you want to take a trip to, and that could go into or you could break that down. So like, I visited Athens, Greece last summer, and I would not want to write an essay on Athens, Greece. If I split that up, I wouldn't want to write that because that would be way too broad, okay? So you want to narrow it down. So make it like a room or a certain place or something. So if I did her basement, like where I'm at right now, I could split this room that I'm standing in, which is like my classroom right now, into quadrants, and that would be easy for me. So I'm going to talk about the splitting into quadrants here in a sec. I'm jumping ahead, so I'm going to back up. But you have option 1 is to write about the place where you're quarantined at. So it could be your bedroom, it could be like your sunroom if you have a sunroom on your house, it could be your living room if that's where you've been staying, if it's with your cousin, with your friend, wherever you're staying, okay? That's option 1. Option 2, write about a classroom that you miss or like just really have been thinking highly about or something like that. Option 3 would be a place that you visited, but make sure you're narrowing that down. And then option 4, write about a favorite place, okay? So, for instance, like, again, I said I'm staying at my friend Alicia's. Well, one of my favorite places is to be in her kitchen because we always cook during Christmas. And so, like, I love being in her kitchen because it reminds me of Christmas time. So, like, that's my favorite place. So, think of your favorite place or whatever you would like to do, and that's what you can do your essay on. So my prompt for this, okay, you gotta have a prompt so we kind of know where we're going with this. Write a spatial essay describing your room of choice or your place of choice. Think about the shape of your place because it will be an essential factor in this essay, and I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. But you want the shape to kind of be like rectangular. So if the place you chose was like a triangle, probably stray away from that, okay? Choose something different. If you really want to do that, fine, do it. But I would stray away from the triangles, the circles. Find a rectangular room that you like or a square room that you like, because it makes the graphic organizer a lot easier. One sec. Sorry. Okay, so for this essay, we're going to be utilizing the writing process. Like I said, that's going to be our learning target, is just to reach the steps of the writing process, be able to understand them, and write an organized essay using those steps. So for pre-writing, okay, this is going to be kind of hectic, so bear with me, because again, we're backwards, but I'm going to turn the camera around here in a little bit, just so you guys can see it correctly. So for pre-writing, okay, this is where it gets kind of crazy. We're going to split our room, so our place of choice, into 4 different quadrants, okay? So right here, we can see this. I'm going to go ahead and draw a square, or not a square, kind of a cross, like so. Okay, paint is kind of running thin on me. This is super fun because I'm getting some painting done while I'm doing it. Okay, so we're going to do our little cross right here. And then what you're going to do, you guys, is you need to label your quadrants, okay? So you're going to have 4 quadrants. So quadrant number 1, quadrant number 2, you can barely see it, but it's okay, 3, and then quadrant number 4. Okay? So quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 2. The light is kind of shining on number 2, so you can't really see it. Okay, so how I always have determined my different quadrants is, well, you're going to want to label them, because when you come to writing your essay, it's going to make it easier once it's labeled. So quadrant 1, we're going to go ahead and, like I would suggest doing this, it's going to be weird if I do it, but go ahead when you write this on your paper. Quadrant number 1, you guys, that's going to be your north, east, okay? So again, don't pay attention to my directions because they're weird because I'm on selfie mode on my iPad. So, okay. So quadrant number 1 is going to be your northeast. Quadrant 2 would be your northwest corner, or your northwest half of the room. Southeast, southwest. So you're going to split your quadrants into 4 different, your room into 4 different quadrants, and then base it on directions. That's what I've always done in the past. That seems to be the best fit, really. So yeah, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, label it according to your directions. Okay, do that little compass, get your compass out on your phone, hold it up in your room, be looking around like, where's it at, okay? What part of my room am I in? So, when you do this, I also have a graphic organizer like this. I will turn it around again, and so you can see it properly. The air conditioner, or the heater's blowing right on it. So quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. If you notice the little points, I'm going to talk about those real fast. Okay, so when you're doing this, I would have at least 5 points for each quadrant. Okay, so what these are going to be is your supporting details for the quadrant. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when you have 5 supporting details, so what they're going to be when we're talking about our room or our space or wherever we're talking about when we're describing that, what these points are going to be is like what's in that quadrant. So in this quadrant is my bed. In quadrant number 1, there's my bed. Next to my bed is my side table. Okay, so excuse me. So when you're going off of this, you guys, that's what I would really look at. Okay, quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your 5 points are going to be, like I said, those things that are in each section or each quadrant of the room. Also, very important thing. When I say quadrant, I mean like we're splitting it into sections. So just so you're aware, that's what that means. So like we're just gonna pretend we're cutting our room in half. Okay? All right. So again, this is what I have for that. This is what the graphic organizer would look like if I could hand it to everybody. Huge suggestion. So a lot of the times we have people who don't like to write, like don't like to do things like that. Artistic ability learners, okay? So this is what it would look like if you